The reason for Errol Spence Jr.'s terrible performance against Terence Crawford may have been discovered by Victor Conte of Snack, who believes he was weakened by running in the mountains the week of the fight last July. Victor Conte says Errol Spence made a massive mistake while training for his undisputed welterweight championship fight against WBO champion Terence Crawford last July by running the week of the fight at 8,000 feet on Mount Charleston, Nevada, which he believes could have caused a condition called altitude sickness. I want to get in here, get into this article, give my thoughts on this whole situation. Y'all let me know how y'all feel down in the comment section. I know everybody gonna get down there and start warring in the comment section. But I want to give my thoughts. Much love, peace, and blessings to everybody checking into the video. Those that love me, those that hate me, appreciate all you guys, man. And I want to get in here and talk about the whole situation with Victor Conte of Snack. Okay, he had recently had an interview, and we talked about it in the previous video as well. But he recently had an interview where he was explaining the fact that he believes Terence Crawford. Not Terence Crawford. He believes Errol Spence Jr. may have done something super stupid by jogging the week of the fight at high elevation. Okay. Now, I understand a lot of people are throwing the word excuse around. A lot of people are saying making excuses. I get it. I understand it. And you guys are not wrong for saying that people are making excuses. Okay. I'm not here to fight back and forth and say, oh, Errol Spence Jr. only lost because this, boom, boom, boom. We all saw the fight. We all saw Terence Crawford go out there and dominate Errol Spence Jr. We saw it. So it's not something that we're saying that it's just we making an excuse. But when somebody from Terence Crawford's team, his nutrition team, and the CEO of Snack comes out, and it's not to say that Victor Conte hasn't had a questionable past. Okay, we know Victor Conte has had some questionable things happen in the past where fighters popping hot and stuff. So it's not like his words are absolute credible. But these are things that we as boxing analysts and boxing fans and pure boxing, you know what I'm saying, enthusiasts, we got to really get in here and look at all things, considered when we start to look at, these situations. And the fact that the guy from Snack comes out and says he believes Errol Spence Jr. did something stupid by coming out and going at such a high altitude and running the week of the fight. Not only that, knowing that Errol Spence Jr. is not as young as he used to be, okay, had a vicious car accident where he almost died, okay. It's not something that we're just making up excuses, but this is something that you have to look into. Now, this is not something that we all knew of right off the bat. Okay, we didn't know Errol Spence was up there just jogging in the mountains. But when somebody from Terence Crawford's nutrition squad come out and say that I think what Errol Spence Jr. did before the fight was stupid, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't dare have, one of my fighters up there in the mountains running right before his fight, knowing how altitude sickness is an actual scientific situation that can happen with lack of oxygen, and you running and you haven't quite got the oxygen to where you need it to be at. You know what I mean? It takes time for oxygen to move, from the lungs through the body and so on and so forth. So it's not necessarily just the fact that we're trying to make excuses, but it's definitely our duty to get out here and to analyze exactly, what's going on. Now, just to keep looking at this article real quick. It says it was a mistake on Spence's part to choose to run in the mountains the week of the fight with Crawford, as it can take days to recover from a grueling 5-mile run at high altitude the week of an athletic event. Okay, so apparently Victor Conte doesn't know for certain that Errol Spence had altitude sickness. He doesn't know that. But he said he did look very flat. He looked weak, slow, and an easy target for Crawford's punches on the night of their fight. And this is exactly what I was talking about in my previous video. I think, Errol Spence Jr., nothing away from Terence Crawford. Okay, I don't want to take nothing away from Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford is a phenomenal fighter. Okay, I want everybody to understand that. He was quicker. He beat Errol Spence to the punch. I'm not taking nothing away from Terence Crawford's abilities. I think he's pound for pound #1. I think he's greatness. Okay, I think Terence Crawford is all of those things. I want y'all to understand that clearly. So it's not that I'm trying to say anything against Terence Crawford. He looked phenomenal on the night. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, and he got the win. The only thing we're doing as boxing fans, we're looking at every aspect, and we're trying to break this thing down and try to figure out what the heck was going on, and that's what we're supposed to do. That's our job. That's how we get paid out here in these streets. So Errol Spence Jr., he definitely looked this slower. He definitely... he got off to a decent start in the first round of that fight, right? He got off to a decent start, but I've never seen a guy with such athletic abilities, such a trained professional, that spars, for 19 rounds after a strength train. And this is the thing, like, nothing against Terence Crawford, but Errol Spence Jr., we follow Errol Spence, and we followed a lot of these boxers for a long time, and we understand their work regimen. I've seen him fight on multiple occasions, and I know for a fact that Errol Spence Jr. shouldn't be that tired after the first and second and third round. It's no way. So, and now that Victor Conte is coming out saying that there's a possible altitude issue that he had for jogging in the mountains, you have to put, 2 and 2 together to try to figure out what was going on. And I think that's part of the reason why he looked weight drained. No excuses, but we have to figure this thing out. That's not saying that Errol Spence Jr. is going to win the second fight. Terence Crawford could come out here and totally wash Errol Spence in the second fight. And it's possible. Just like I told everybody before the fight, I haven't really been talking much about the fight because I wasn't really on YouTube at around that time. You know what I mean? I had took like a decent little break. I was going through some things, haven't been on YouTube for a while, even leading up to the fight. But I did say many years ago, back around 2018, 2019, that if these two was to get in the ring, this fight can go either way. Like it's not one of them situations where, you have to just say one fighter is gonna, totally dominate at the time. When I was analyzing the fights, I thought it would be a good fight, a close fight. But, with that being said, Errol Spence Jr., he definitely didn't look like himself. A lot of Terence Crawford fans, a lot of Errol Spence fans also admitted that as well. So he says, I'm going to say one more thing that I probably shouldn't say. I don't want to take anything away from Terence Crawford, but I know something that Errol did that he says before that fight that was extremely stupid. This is Victor Conte talking of Snack. He says, talking about Errol Spence running at high altitude the week of the fight against Terence Crawford. He says that is, he got to Vegas and 7 days out from the fight, he decided to go and do a 5-mile run at Mount Charleston at an elevation of 8,000 feet, Victor Conte said about Spence. He says, you should never ever done that without acclimation. You can develop what is called altitude sickness. It's because, he says it's going to hamper your performance. It's not going to be in your best interest to do that. That's what Victor Conte said about Errol Spence Jr. Now, and let me read what one of these fans said. A couple of the comments. There's a lot of comments that's roasting boxing fans and saying Errol Spence Jr. fans are making excuses and all of these things. I get it. But one of the things that I want to make clear as well is that I think most of us, even Terence Crawford fans and Spence fans, they both agree that Errol Spence Jr. didn't look the same entering the fight. Now, I'm not, and when we say didn't look the same, we're not talking about boxing style. We're not saying that the punch combinations that Errol Spence threw wasn't similar. Of course, it's Errol Spence. He's going to fight the way he's going to fight. But I think what most people is basically saying is that Errol Spence Jr.'s stamina looked terrible from the beginning. His legs looked terrible from the beginning. His face walking to the ring looked terrible from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the point that a lot of fans is making. Not so much as the fact that Errol Spence Jr. is just not the same. He didn't look the same as far as his fighting style. Of course, yes, his fighting style looked the same. I think personally that Derrick James could have, done something differently with the he could have did something differently, with the game plan, since he's seen that his fighter was, looking kind of tired. He probably could have done something different. But it is what it is on that. But the comment goes on to say, I think most of us, even Crawford fans, believe Spence didn't look the same entering the fight with Crawford. But that doesn't mean that Spence would have won either. That's what I'm saying as well. I just think he would have been more competitive in a closer fight. Crawford has never dominated like that, and Spence has never fought like that. Agree? The rematch will settle this issue once and for all. Let's go. And that's the thing. I agree. I understand Spence Jr.'s fighting style was the same. I understand that, the punch selection that he decided to throw looked similar to what we always see. But I think what it is that the way in which his stamina looked in that fight. The way his stamina looked, not the way his fighting style looked, the way his stamina looked, the way his legs looked. It just didn't look right, man. So I know a lot of people gonna tear me to shreds in the comment section. They gonna let your boy have it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. It is what it is. Say what you're gonna say. Do what you're gonna do. But all I'm gonna say is this: Errol Spence Jr. deserves his rematch. He deserves a rematch. It's in the contract to have a rematch clause. He deserves to exercise it. If and when Terence Crawford, kick his ass again, get in there, make him look terrible, whoop him to the ground again, then that should be the end of it, right? Terence Crawford whooped him. That was it. He whooped him twice. Boom, boom, boom. He was way better. I get it. But you're not gonna fight once in a fight of this magnitude, and the way that fight turned out, and think that Errol Spence Jr. is not gonna get in there and try to avenge that loss, and to show the fans and show the world that right there that night wasn't him. Okay, he want to be able to show the fans that I can put up a more competitive fight than I did before, and I think we want to see if it's possible. I understand Terence Crawford is the dude. I understand he's that guy. This his era. I get all that stuff y'all saying. I understand he has a big tool bag full of skills. He knows how to fight. And we talked about that. I don't know if a lot of you guys are new to the channel, because I have, taken a long layoff off the channel, a long break. I've been going through some stuff, had some issues, some personal issues I had to get going, get taken care of. But we've talked about this on the channel many, many times in the past about how we feel about Terence Crawford as it relates to his skill set, what he's able to do. So I'm not going to take anything away from him. But the only thing I want to say is that we've never seen Errol Spence Jr. get that tired before. Not like that. It was terrible. It's like right after the first round, and it's like that before he got punched. Not after he got hit. He started looking tired at the beginning of the second round. His legs wasn't there. So that's just how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to make any excuses or nothing, but I got to, tell y'all exactly what I see. And that's what I saw. I saw his legs didn't look right. He didn't look right. I believe he deserves his rematch. And I'll probably do a video on that too. The fact that he deserves a rematch. We're probably going to talk about that too. And I guarantee he's going to put up a better showing for himself in the second fight. So that's pretty much all I got for this video. I'm going to chop up with y'all on another one. I really appreciate everybody for checking into the video. That right there is the bell. So we're going to get up out of here. And much love, peace, and blessings to everybody checking into the channel. This your boy, Get a Mic. Appreciate y'all for checking into Gym Boxing. And I'll be back with more content shortly. Peace.